Conscious experience is a type of data. Scientists can describe the neural activity that occurs in the brain when we see, but they seem to be completely puzzled by the conscious visual experience that we have that is correlated with the neural activity. Incredibly, some even come to the conclusion that the conscious experience is not even necessary. They cannot find conscious experience in the neurons, so they think conscious experience must not have any function in the visual process. They believe the neural activity is sufficient for us to move around in the world without bumping into things. This is insane denial of the obvious purpose for visual consciousness. Neural activity is not enough. We would be blind without the conscious visual experience. From a systems engineering and signal processing point of view, it is clear that the conscious visual experience is a further processing stage that comes after the neural activity. The conscious visual experience is the thing that allows us to move around in the world. Conscious visual experience contains vast amounts of information about the external world all packed up into a single thing. To implement all the functionality of the conscious visual experience with only neural activity would probably require a brain as big as a refrigerator. Some people will always bring up the phenomenon of blind sight where a patient has some brain damage which seems to eliminate the visual experience, yet the patient can recognize objects in a controlled testing environment. This is a very limited kind of seeing and does not prove anything about the necessity for the conscious visual experience. These patients are highly handicapped and are not able to move around in the world as if they had a normal visual experience. Scientists should not disregard the conscious visual experience. It is just another type of data that can be analyzed. We should call it conscious data. We use and analyze this conscious visual data all the time without realizing it. For example, when I reach for my coffee mug, I have a conscious visual experience where I see my hand moving toward the coffee mug. If my hand is off track, I sense this in the conscious visual experience and adjust the movement of my hand. If I did not have the conscious visual experience, I would not be able to pick up my coffee mug, or at least it would be much more difficult with just neural activity. So, the conscious visual experience is just data that helps us interact with the world. This conscious visual data is absolutely necessary for us to function. Similar arguments can be made for the conscious auditory experience, the conscious smell experience, the conscious taste experience, and the conscious touch experience. All these experiences are just a type of data that our conscious minds can analyze. The conscious mind concept, which will be developed in the Inter-Mind model paper, can be viewed as a kind of conscious processor that takes the conscious light, sound, smell, taste, and touch experiences as input data to help it survive in the world. This is a very strange kind of processing, although actually very familiar because this is what we do, and it is very different from the processing that computers can do. The processing that the conscious mind does is also very different than the neural processing that the brain does. Let us talk about the color red. In the physical world, we know that red light is an oscillating electromagnetic phenomenon with a particular wavelength associated with it. In the brain, red is the coordinated firing of groups of specific neurons. In the conscious mind, red is an experience. In computers, red is usually represented as the hex number 00FF0000 stored in a memory location. Electromagnetic phenomena, firing neurons, the red experience, and the number 00FF0000 are completely different kinds of data. The conscious input data must be derived from neural activity in the physical mind, brain. So we should conclude that the conscious mind is connected to the physical mind in some way. The nature of this connection will be developed in the sections below. Note that there is no artificial intelligence program or electronics today that can make this kind of connection.